How's it going? It's Quinton here, and welcome to tutorial number 2. And in this tutorial, I just wanted to give you guys a quick introduction to cPanel. So hopefully you followed along with my previous series and you bought shared hosting and you logged into cPanel and it looks something like this. If cPanel doesn't look exactly like this, you can switch themes. So just make sure that you're using the Paper Lantern theme. And then it should look mostly like this. If for some reason Paper Lantern is not available, you're probably using an old version of cPanel, so you might want to get your host to just upgrade your version of cPanel or move hosts to a better one or something. But yeah, this is cPanel, and you can see on the sidebar over here we've got this a bunch of different stats, right? And these are stats that we're not really going to care about. We're not going to come look at them every day, but it's just stuff to take note of, right? So disk usage, I mean, if we reach our limit here, we're not going to be able to upload any more files. So we just need to make sure that we monitor this when we're uploading files, that we're not, trying to upload too much stuff so that our server space is full. Then we've also got a counter for email accounts and subdomains and SQL databases, etc. So this is kind of just everything that you paid for in your package should be showing up over here. And you can see that my domain also appears. So this is a domain that I bought specifically for the series, and if you guys go to it right now, it just says josiecorp.com with this coming soon page. And depending on when you watch this page might actually disappear. We're going to upload something there later on in the series. So that is the sidebar explained. Now let's take a look at all these different panels, and some of the stuff is obviously really obvious, and then some things can be a little bit confusing, especially if you're a beginner. So you can see that the first panel talks about files, and sometimes this might not be the first panel because you can swap them around and change them if you want to. So I just wanted to show you guys that. But yeah, this is my file manager, and file manager is what we use to upload, download zip files and monitor files on our site. So if you ever want to do anything with files, you'll go to the file manager, and I will be taking an in-depth look at this in a future tutorial. Then you see images over here and you think, okay, that's where I would go to see my images. But no, you actually see those in your file manager anyway. So images is really just there to create thumbnails and stuff. Not that I would ever use that. I don't think you guys will ever use this either, but it's there if you want it. So yeah. And then I'm going to skip over some of the stuff because directory privacy just means you can block certain directories or certain folders with a password, so you can password protect them. Disk usage, you can kind of see that over here. It's just how much usage you're using or how much space you're using. And then I want to take a look at FTP accounts and FTP connections. So FTP accounts, if you guys don't know what FTP stands for, it's File Transfer Protocol, and this is what web developers use to upload and download files more often than we use the file manager, just because FTP is so much faster and we don't have to go through the trouble of using the browser, because sometimes these things have like a max upload size and you want to upload something a little bit bigger, or you want to have the upload running in the background. Then you can use an FTP program like FileZilla, and I'll talk more about that when I get to that tutorial. But yeah, FTP is actually the real file upload and download application or process that we will talk about. And then I've got some backup wizards and backup options, so I can just make backups of what's currently on my server and then restore from that backup if anything goes wrong, like my website gets hacked or something like that. Then you can see we've got databases, and databases are something that we need for WordPress and Joomla. I don't think I've ever explained databases to my audience, but I know a lot of you guys will probably already know. So yeah, PHP MyAdmin is the section where we get to manage all the SQL stuff. So we will run queries or create tables and everything like that in phpMyAdmin. MySQL databases is just where we set up a database, and we could use the wizard, but I'm going to show you guys how to do it the proper way with just this MySQL database tab, and we'll be doing that in a future tutorial. Then we've got remote MySQL, and this is if you ever wanted to set up a database on a different server and then connect to it through here, then you could do that. But to be honest, you get an SQL or a SQL database with your hosting package, so most of the time we're not going to make use of remote MySQL. Then we've got email accounts, and this is where we get to set up new email accounts, set up email forwarders, like if someone goes out of the office and you want to set up a forwarder for John's email to go to Sarah while John's on holiday, something like that is what you would use in forwarders. Autoresponders is like, again, when you're out of office and you just want to let people know, you'd set up an autoresponder. And we can also set up a default address for when somebody sends an email to an email address that doesn't exist on your domain. So if someone tried to send an email to notexist@josiecorp.com, I could send that somewhere. Like I could forward it to my own email address or something like that. Okay. I'm not going to worry about track delivery and calendars and so on. You guys will be able to take a look at all of that. But subdomains is something that I will be taking a look at in this series. And subdomains, if you guys don't know what they are, is just kind of a domain added onto your domain. So you can see that I've got josiecorp.com, but a subdomain might be something like forum.josiecorp.com. So if you ever want to set up a subdomain, that's pretty much how you'd set it up. You'd go to that little subdomain section over here. Redirects, you can redirect your subdomains to another URL. Metrics is a complete waste of time. So metrics give you stats about visitors and bandwidth and so on, but the visitors thing is really not accurate at all, and neither are the all stats. So if you really want to get statistics about people visiting your site, you should use Google Analytics, and that is a tracking thing by Google, which again, it would have to be a series on its own, but yeah, that's just how you would track visitors to your site. It's like the world standard. Everybody would use Google Analytics or something similar, but yeah, most people just use Google Analytics because Google's Google and they own the world. But yeah, that is the all stats. We're not going to take a look at those. Then we've got security, and here you can see we can block IPs. So if you have an IP range or a bunch of IP addresses that keep doing funny stuff to your site, you can block their IPs. And I'll show you guys how to do this, but it's not something you would use very often, especially because it isn't very effective. If someone's trying to hack your site from one IP, they'll just move to another one once it's blocked. Then you've got hotlink protection and leech protection and so on. And I'm actually not going to talk about any of this other stuff in security, mostly because it's not something we use every day. It's not something that needs to be used every day. But it's there if you guys want to take a look at it. Then we've got software, and this is just going to give me, if I click on PHP, some specs about the server. So I'm going to be able to see language options. That's all turned off, but I think the most important thing here is resource, which is your memory limit and your file upload size. So this is kind of where you can see what your max upload size is, 2 megs. You could increase that if you wanted to, but again, on the web we usually try keep all these files really small, so that it doesn't make the page load really long. So if you are uploading a file that's bigger than 2 megs, you've got problems because your website's probably going to load really slow. Resource limits. Sometimes people get this this memory limit issue in PHP, and then you have to bump up your memory limits or your memory size. So right now it's at 64, which you know, isn't bad. And then max execution time and max input time sometimes give PHP errors, so you guys can just take a look at them here, but we can't actually change them. We have to contact the hosting provider and ask them to change these kind of things. And then I'm not gonna go into any of this other stuff, but yeah, that's just if you guys wanted to get some information about your server, you'd look under the software tab over here. Then we've got advanced, and cron jobs under advanced is something that's kind of cool because you can set a cron job to run like every hour or every day just to update something on your site. So if you've got a PHP script that you want to run every day, you can go into cron jobs, set that up, and it'll run. And then there's things like error pages, which would be your 404 pages and so on, and that's something that we'll probably be taking a look at. But MIME types and Apache handlers is not something we use every day, especially as beginners, so I'm gonna kind of skip over those. Then preferences, I'm not even gonna explain this. Changing language and changing password, you guys can do that on your own. But yeah, if you guys ever get hacked, you might want to change your password. So there we go. And then this last tab, Softaculous Apps Installer. This is something that you guys might not have access to on your server. It's not available on all cPanel packages, but if it is there, basically what it does is it allows you to quickly install a package of some like very often used software. That was probably not good English. Some software that is used very often. So yeah, you can download and install WordPress, Joomla 2.5, which is the old version of Joomla. So if you want to get the new one, it's really that version of Joomla over there. And we've worked with PrestaShop before, so you could also use a download quick install thing from Softaculous for PrestaShop as well. And yeah, now we're at the bottom and we're pretty much covered everything. So thank you for watching this tutorial.